In this video today, you can see we've got an old lath and plaster ceiling here, covered in wood chip wallpaper, as you can see. And we're going to be overboarding this ceiling today, guys. And in this video, I'm going to show you a really fast and clean way how to overboard old lath and plaster ceilings. Now, I know that there's many different methods, plenty of ways to skin the cat, as they say. Some spreads will put the hammer through to locate where the joists are. It's quite a messy and dusty way of doing it. Some people will ping string lines across, etc. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Again, it's a very fast and clean way of doing this. So step one is we're going to loosen off the light switch so we can locate the laths underneath, and we can see which way that these laths are running, which is that way. All right, so that tells us that the ceiling joists are running this way, the opposite way. Now, usually the ceiling joists will be positioned roughly every 16 inches. And I've marked on here, on the wall, exactly where those ceiling joists are. And I'll show you how I located those ceiling joists. You're going to need an impact driver and some 50mm drywall screws to do this method. And you can see I've made a series of pilot holes across this ceiling, guys. And there's also some drywall screws poking out roughly every 16 inches. So we start on one side, and essentially all we're doing is we're running pilot holes through until we catch a joist. That's how simple it is. And you'll know when you've caught a joist because you'll feel it. You'll have resistance in the impact driver. So for example, there's no joist there, and the screw will just keep spinning around. But when you hit a joist, you'll get resistance on the tool, and that's why we use the impact driver to do it. So again, you'll hear on every single joist, resistance, resistance, okay? And again, where there's no joist, it will just keep spinning around. Even if you hit a piece of lath, if you keep trying to drive the screw through, it will just keep spinning around. So that's how easy it is. And if we space them out roughly every 16 inches, keep putting your pilot holes through, eventually your screw will hit a joist and you transfer the line with a pencil onto the wall. And that's the first step in locating where your ceiling joists are. Okay, so you can see I've got my first plasterboard in position. Okay, and I've put my screws in, as you can see, fixed into the ceiling joists. Now, I mentioned earlier, some spreads will use a string line, and they'll ping a string line from one end of the room to the other, because in these old houses, typically the ceiling joists will be running out. So to get over that issue, you just essentially repeat the process of the pilot hole method again. So you can see this side of the plasterboard, rather than just sort of screwing in and guessing where the joists are, all we do is we just repeat the method again. Put some pilot hole screws through, make sure that we're getting some resistance on the impact driver. That'll tell us exactly where the ceiling joist is. Then we can pop one in, and then using both ends, we can just sort of iron the screws for the centers, like so. And we know that we're always getting an accurate fixing every single time. So this system's going to save you a hell of a lot of time. It's going to save you punching holes through the ceiling with a hammer, which of course is going to let through a lot of nasty dust. Typical lath and plaster, lime sand mortar coming down. We don't want to breathe in that shit in. So this is going to avoid all the dust. It's going to avoid you having to ping string lines through and messing around. So I hope this tip today has been helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you did find this video helpful. See you on the next one.